Hi there, this is Galen Martling. Today I'm representing Unity Stamp Company and I'm going to show watercolor lotus flowers. And I'm also going to show embossing for the background waves, background panel. And so for the stamping, I begin with Remarkably Made. And this is a beautiful lotus flower and beautiful sentiments. Also, Ocean Waves background, and that is an A2 size stamp. It's really large, and the lotus is also a large stamp. And so for the stamping, I'm using the original Misty. I'm using Canson watercolor paper, and I'm stamping on the smooth side. I'm using waterproof ink by My Favorite Things. And so I stamped that lotus flower twice. I used 3 passes of the stamping for each flower and also 3 passes of the stamping for this background. So first I'm going to stamp the sentiment onto a turquoise color cardstock panel. And then I'm going to stamp with a Wow embossing pad. I'm going to stamp with clear embossing ink, and I'm going to emboss with white embossing powder and heat set that. And then I go ahead and trim the background panel a little bit here. I'm going to use the paper trimmer and trim out the sentiment. I die cut that panel there, the background panel, with a little bit of wax paper just to protect the embossing. And then I take the waxed paper off. So for the watercolor, I'm using Altenew half pans watercolor, and I'm using a brush for the watercolor, and so I'm using a wet on wet technique. All that means is I'm going to use the brush with just water on it and where I want to add the color. So I went around on the petals of the bottom parts of the petals there and added water, and then I dabbed that brush right into that darker pink and then dabbed that right into the water on the stamping. And you see it moves out. It will move again later when I add some more. So I go ahead and do the same for the other flower and just add the water. I didn't clean the brush or anything because I just wanted to use similar color anyway, that same dark pink. And then you see how it blends out nicely and very naturally. There's no exactness to this. Watercolor never turns out the same way twice, so I wanted a loose watercolor look, and the wet on wet technique is the best way to get that. So for the tops of each of the petals, I go ahead and go in with a light pink. My brush is already wet, so I'm just spreading a little wet pink watercolor at the tips and let that bleed into the darker color. I do this for both of the flowers. And then I didn't fill it in exactly perfect. I let some of the white show just to give it a little accent, some highlights. And then I heat set it with a heat tool. You can leave it set to dry. I was just, for time purposes, I heat set it. Then I'm adding water to that bottom leaf area. I'm using a turquoise color for adding dabs of turquoise right onto that water. And then I do the same for the other one. And you can see once you dab it, that color moves easily. And this is just the look I was looking for, nothing perfect, very loose watercolor. And so now, once it's heat set and all dry, I fussy cut, which is just cutting out with scissors where I want the flower to be cut out. So I did that for both of them. And then now I'm going to go ahead and get ready to assemble the card. I use foam tape on the back of the sentiment and on the back of each of the flowers. I use flat double-sided tape for the background panel, and I put that right onto the card base. And then I place the sentiment first, and I trim the edges where it sticks out from the card there. I trim that off for the flowers, and I do this for both of the flowers. And then I make sure it's fastened down nicely to finish the card. There you go. I hope you like this, and I hope you give it a try. Thanks so much for watching. Please take a moment to subscribe to my YouTube channel, like and share, if you will, and have a great day.